Hi, sir. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Keith. I'm one of the volunteer docents here at the Reading Railroad Heritage Museum. We're located at 503rd Street in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. We are run by the Historical Society for the Reading Railroad, RCT&HS, and we have a collection of about 70 pieces of Reading rolling stock, as well as an indoor museum that exhibits the various artifacts from the Reading and has some model railroad stuff too.
Very nice.
Okay.
So you guys are welcome to come and visit this amazing place. It's a great place to come and see if you love railroads and all that kind of stuff. Great place to come.
The general purpose locomotive, meaning you can have a mow switching operations and long haul operations. And if you want, you can climb up the steps, look in the window to see what it looks like inside.
I'm not passing that because I'm handicapped and my left foot's a little weird on stairs. But I appreciate the offer.
Okay. Now the next two locomotives we're looking at are long haul locomotives. The 5308, that's a C630, was built by Alco in 1966. The Reading had 12 of this particular model, and the U30C is a General Electric model. The U30C, the Reading had 5 of that particular model. Both are 3,000 horsepower with a top speed of 70 miles an hour.
Wow.
The fuel capacity of 4,000 gallons, meaning it could go a long distance with the load. And the other one is 3,000, has a fuel capacity of 3,000 gallons. Long haul locomotives.
That's impressive.
And the 5513 is a general purpose locomotive of the second generation, built by EMD in 1962. It had a top speed of 71 miles an hour, though the governor was set for 67 miles per hour. The Reading had 20 of this particular model, and this is the first GP30 delivered to any railroad.
Oh, wow.
And you're aware that I don't know if you're aware that the Reading had a series of F units, streamline units. This next one here is an example. Locomotive 900 is a model FP7 built by EMD. The Reading had 8 of this model built between 1950 and 1952. And it was built at the time when steam locomotive operators were pulling passenger trains. The passenger cars had steam heat in them. This one had a steam generator to generate steam when it was pulling the passenger locomotives until such time as the passenger cars were converted to electric heat.
Huh.
Now, some of these locomotives found their way to other railroads when the Reading no longer had need of them, and that's with Reading number 5204. It eventually found its way to the Green Bay and Western Railroad, which is why it has its red color. It's a model C424 built by Alco in 1963. It had 2,400 horsepower, top speed of 70 miles per hour. The Reading had 10 of this particular model.
Cool.
And when the Reading had it, it had the same green and yellow color scheme as the 5513 and the 5308.
So those all would have had that same color scheme.
What's that?
This would have had the same color scheme at one point.
Yes, when the Reading had it.
Yeah.
But when the Green Bay and Western got it, they painted it into
red.
the red.
Okay.
And we have box cars in various color schemes in various stages of restoration. Everything is volunteer and it's all privately funded.
So this is a place that if you guys want to, you can donate to help them to restore these and bring them back to what they would have looked like back in the day. So I would assume that's something they could send checks or...
What's that?
They could send checks or whatever. You have like a P.O. box that you guys...
Yes, we'll get that information inside.
Okay, that'll work.
Now this is a very special unit. A locomotive engineer mobile training unit. It was originally built as a passenger coach in 1913.
Wow.
It was converted in 1953 by the Reading Shop Forces into a classroom training facility to teach steam locomotive operators how to operate the diesel electrics. It contains simulated control stands for both first and second generation diesels, its own steam boiler for heat, and some classroom space.
Very neat.
And you're aware that all the turnouts or switches, some people call them turnouts, had to be controlled from some place, and the signals had to be controlled from some place. And those locations were called towers, be it small buildings alongside the tracks, the tops, or even basements of some buildings. We're going to go look inside and see consoles for two different operations controlled from these towers. If you walk, are you able to?
I should be able to. Oh, cool.
Okay. The first one, this is a control console for trains on main line service. The schematics here with lights showing where the trains are located. The controls for controlling the switches, and controls for controlling the signals to make sure the trains don't crash into one another.
Now that you guys can see here, there's Port Clinton.
Yes.
In there.
This is the control tower from the control console from the Oli Tower.
Wow. That is neat.
And you're aware that not all cars starting out from a train go to the same destination, which is why we have switching yards. This is from Rutherford Yard. This is consoles. That's this side, just this side of Harrisburg.
Mm-hmm.
And when the cars got enough momentum, they were able to be disconnected from the locomotives, and the controls would control the switches to make sure that the cars going to the same destination, we're on the same train, and sometimes the cars would be going a little bit fast, and they would have to be slowed down by way of brackets in the tracks that would catch the inside of the flanges. And these controls here controlled those brackets. That way the trains the cars would connect just at the right speed so as not to damage the contents.
Very nice. There's East Petersburg. Wow.
Okay, and watch your step. Okay, now while most of the cabooses built during the 20th century were made of metal, this caboose we're looking at was built during World War II, where you're probably aware that they had to conserve materials. So to save on the metal, this caboose had wooden sides. And you can see the elevation, the elevated portion called the cupola, where members of the train crew would be able to look down the train to watch out for any problems like hot boxes or derailments. And you notice how the cupola is in the center of the caboose. This was typical of the cabooses of many northeastern railroads, hence the name Northeastern Caboose. Now, this caboose we're looking at had an unusual assignment for its final assignment. It was at Hershey Park, used as a gathering place when children got separated from their parents.
So there's a noticeable, landmark. So
yes.
People will be like, yeah, that's cool.
Okay, I'm getting these pages mixed up here. The Stockton Terminal Railroad engine actually started out as engine 2719 when the Reading had it. It was the first switcher to have the yellow and green color scheme. It was built by EMD in 1963, and the Reading had 5 of this particular model. The Reading had 5 of this particular model, and it eventually found its way, as you could see, to the Stockton Terminal Railroad when the Reading no longer had use for it. Now, due to some environmental regulations out in California, they didn't like it when it was giving off too much smoke, so they gave a grant for a replacement on condition that this one wouldn't run either by that railroad or anyone they sold it or gave it to.
Nah.
Now, the good news is that's the only political talk you're going to hear on this entire tour.
It happens.
Locomotive 3412 is a model GP39-2 built by EMD in 1974. Another general purpose locomotive. And the Reading had 20 of this particular model. And it was the last model purchased by the Reading before its bankruptcy, before its final bankruptcy. It eventually found its way to CSX, which is why it has a blue color. When the Reading had it had sort of an apple green color scheme, similar to the green on the green and yellow engines.
Very cool.
That's in our collection is this tender here. Got its start serving a steam locomotive. When the steam locomotive no longer had use for it, steam locomotive no longer had use for it, it was converted to carry only water to serve as a water supply on a train used for putting out fires along the railroad. Now we have more cabooses. Now you see a typical red caboose that was built during the 20th century, and in 1962 the Reading started having the yellow and green color scheme on their cabooses, and the gray caboose is because it's still in its primer being restored.
Okay.
And you notice the extra wide cupola on the caboose, because when cars started getting bigger, they were able to see alongside the train, watching for the same type of problems. And that's how that style of caboose got its name, the wide vision caboose.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how you feel. If you want to go, if you want, we could go inside.
I'm not going to try it. I can feel my legs starting to get tired.
Okay. And beyond the cabooses, you have what looks like a passenger car with a metal structure on top. That metal structure is called a pantograph. The car itself is called an MU unit. It's a self-propelled unit with electric engines in the trucks, and the pantograph is connected to wires, overhead wires. If you travel in the Philadelphia area, you've probably seen successors of them.
Yeah.
And the wires are 12 or 11,000 volts, so you really don't want to get too close to them.
No.
Even if you get close to them without proper training and equipment, you could get a nasty shock.
Yeah, oh yeah. Last shock of your life.
Yes. And you can see another MU unit with the pantograph down. And I believe that you know what hopper cars are used for, right?
Yeah.
Another box car that had a plain green color scheme. It's in the early stages of restoration. The red is just primer on it now. And one locomotive company I didn't mention until now is Fairbanks Morse. While we don't have an official Fairbanks Morse in our collection, we have a slug that was converted from a Fairbanks Morse Trainmaster locomotive. The engine and generator were taken out, and it was filled with sand and stone. It still has the motors in the trucks. It got its power from locomotives that the typical diesel electric locomotives. It was used when they had the horsepower but didn't have the traction needed for startups or climbing steep hills and the like.
Yep.
If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you.
The next piece we're looking at is an early version of a battery-powered locomotive, a switching locomotive used to switch cars in places where it was very sheltered and you wouldn't want any fumes. It was battery-powered. Being that it was always close to a charging station, it was able to use the battery technology that existed at the time. And you notice it doesn't even have a cab because it was always operated in a sheltered area.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
And another box car in various stages of restoration. The only alternative was to have him go to the scrap yard.
Yeah.
We managed to save him from the scrap yard.
Yeah.
Now, Alco had their version of general purpose locomotives, only they called theirs road switchers. This is a model RS3, number 485 is a model RS3 built by Alco in 1951. It had a top speed of 65 miles an hour. The Reading had 37 of this particular model.
Wow.
And the two cars behind it were part of the wreck train when the wrecks occurred in remote spots, and it would take hours, maybe days to clean up. The crew needed a place to sleep and have their meals. That's the purpose of the closer to two cars. The farther one, which looks like a baggage car, carried tools and spare parts to get the tracks back in service and to get whatever could be run on the tracks back into service. The equipment that could be run. And if you want to take a look at this side just before the building, some of the MU units were built or modernized. I believe it was in the early to late 1960s. They were modernized both power-wise and got the blue and what was cream color scheme. They became known as blue liners. Some people called them blue boys. If you want to take a look.
Alright, cool.
You can see right by the one that just beat this side of the building.
Yep. Very nice.
Built by EMD in 1947. A model NW2. It had 1,000 horsepower, and since it was always near a fueling station, it only needed a fuel capacity of 600 gallons of fuel. And notice how it was very short, just like the other switcher we looked at. It could handle the tight curves of industrial sidings that the long-haul locomotives and even some of the general purpose locomotives wouldn't be able to handle.
Okay.
So as I said earlier, 3 different types of diesel electric locomotives for 3 different purposes.
Okay. Very nice. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to take a couple pictures of some of these locomotives and then
Yes,
I'll be good.
You can take some more pictures if you.
So we're now inside in the museum here, so we're going to wind out looking around here and enjoying some more cool stuff. Railway. Just get to see all these. Get to see the architecture. There's one of the Lebanon stations that we've been at. Really, his own architectural form. Very easy to distinguish, and just beautiful, beautiful stations. This is such an informative tour. It's really, really neat to hear about all the different types of engines, the history that they have, and that they're preserving them here. It's so neat. I'd like to go to Nice Town. It's probably pretty nice. Cold Run is cold. Some of the Franklin Street YMSing have that there. So neat, just the cool stuff that they have here. This is just history being preserved, and these guys are phenomenal. So we'll wind out talking to them about the P.O. Box. If you guys do want to make donations or support, I'm sure maybe they'll have an organization that actually supports them here to be able to continue to do the work that they're doing, which is so phenomenal. Really, really, I always love these old drums. Loco Shop, Reading, Pennsylvania. Just can't help but love this. I love these old desks. Are so intricate. Like, it's so neat. Like for the rail lines, like he was showing us that there, and these towers and how they did switching towers. Lebanon Valley Junction Control Station. Very neat. Hey, how you doing?
Okay. If you have any questions like that, just walk out. He's one to ask.
Thank you.
I know some things. Just want to argue over it.
Hey, I get it.
Okay.
But thank you.
Sure. Okay.
This is a really, really neat place.
Thank you. It's the effort of a lot of people.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Something all the time.
And they were saying everybody here is volunteer, correct?
We are all volunteers. This whole organization is a volunteer thing. So, yeah, I keep asking for a raise, and
They say, well, you getting as much as you deserve.
exactly. You're going to double your salary.
Yeah, it's like, well, 0 to 0. Okay, well, okay, I know how.
Obviously, anybody that's here, myself, or anybody else, you're here because you like this stuff. You're interested in it.
And thank you for what you guys do, because it's preserving this.
We get a lot of
amazing.
feedback from people that come in here because they know a lot of stuff about the railroad themselves. It's a mutual learning thing. Really.
Yeah.
If you know anybody that ever wants to do any kind of research into the Reading, the company in that, no one's in there today, but we have our archives over here in that.
Oh, wow.
We have a huge collection of documents and stuff from the company. And a guy who's like really knowledgeable, well, he's the guy that organizes everything. So anyone that ever wants to do any kind of research, feel free to check with our man center.
Yeah.
He'll help you out.
Very nice. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you for coming. That's the reason we're here, you know?
Yeah. This is such a neat, like everything here, this is all volunteer. And he said they have, if you want to do looking at the Reading Railroad, you want to look at information, doing research, this is the place to come. They have all of this, and they have a guy that's extraordinarily knowledgeable who can help you with that. This is just fantastic. It's like we do this series on Hometown History's Automotive Genius. The railways was what came before. They just were stunning, like pieces of art. Like the way they made things back then was made to last, but it was also made, you know, to be beautiful. The craftsmanship, you know, the work that went into it, because people cared. They really, really, really cared. So, really extraordinary. We're going to follow the train around here. Here, there's Hummelstown, Reinhold, Tuckerton. So neat. To see all these things, these pieces of hometown history, all right here. Wow. So I definitely recommend, I'll put up any websites, anything of that nature that has to do with this place. I definitely encourage you, if you love railways, come check this out. This is just so very, very cool. And there's Sheridan. As always, I want to say thank you guys for coming along on another adventure. This was so neat, just being able to experience this place here. The Reading Railroad Heritage Museum in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. As always, we'll see you all about town. History is out there, my friends. So we had talked about it outside. Is there a place people can send donations to help you guys out for refurbishing these trains, P.O. box, something of that nature? If people want to donate, obviously they'll want to come and visit because this place is amazing. You guys are awesome in what you do.
The Reading Railroad Heritage Museum is, like I said, operated by the Reading Company Technical and Historical Society. Our mailing address is what?
Let's get the membership application.
Yeah, right.
So this is something I'll talk to you guys about later in the video as well, about if you want to become a member here, support this organization. This is all volunteer work that they do here. They're restoring history. They're keeping it alive. This is so essential. So you guys can see here that you can wind up going on these different membership levels, and then there'll also be the P.O. box that you guys can send this all to. The P.O. box 15143, Reading, PA 19612. And thank you once again, guys. This was a great experience. It was really cool to see all this.
Where you're from?
I am from Lebanon, Pennsylvania, in that region. Yeah.
Not my way.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you're interested in becoming a member,
there you go.
I certainly am. So I will take care of that, and I'll become a member here. Great. When I tell everybody is like become a member, I try to become a member first to let them know this is something to become part of. So.
You've got a Peter Laurel picture of the Lebanon station.
Yeah, I saw a couple of them. I do a series called America's Rail Stations, and that was one of the first. I did that Reading Rail Station, and then the Cornwall and Lebanon, which is basically across the street. I did that one as well, the old Coleman Station.
Right, what's now an insurance.
Insurance place, yeah, Stricker Insurance or whatever it is. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you once again, guys. This was a great experience. I encourage everybody, come on out here to Hamburg, Pennsylvania. Come visit these guys. They'll take you out on different tours. You can check out all kinds of Reading Railroad history and how important that is to our hometown history. Thanks, everybody. Hey, everybody. So I wanted to do this last bit in closing for the Reading Railroad Heritage Museum. This is a really neat tour. A lot to see. This is all volunteer for these guys, so they're just donating their time. The people that work on the trains, the guy that handles archives, the guys that are there every single week. But it is, if you really enjoy railroad history, it's a cool place to stop there in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. This is sort of, I did this on a whim. I happened to be doing the Cabela's video, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go down in Hamburg, do a couple videos, and just check the town out, and because I'd never really been there. So it was sort of neat going and seeing that, and then doing this museum. So I am going to put like the P.O. box their website, things like that in the descriptions. I'll also put them on like where I put the videos on Facebook, so that information is in the comments. So you can actually, it's like a clickable link. Also, we'll put their address once again on there, so if you want to go visit, you actually have the physical address to go and see it. Once again, this is really cool adventure. I hope you guys, if you get the opportunity, go down and check it out. Go down and visit. Maybe even become a member. That's something I'm planning on doing. And thanks once again for coming on our adventure. And as always, we'll see you all about town.